Welcome back to the Wrong Advice Podcast. I'm your host, John Picciuto, and I'm extremely excited to have my new friend, the one and only Miss Camera Divine, on with us today. CD is a Atlanta-based photographer, and I'm extremely excited to have her on the podcast today. CD, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you, John?
I'm doing very well. Can you give a little quick introduction to the listeners and who you are?
Sure. So I'm Camera Divine, and I guess I'll dox my real name is Lex. Everyone calls me Lex for short. I'm a photographer and a poet and an NFT artist, photographer for 6, poet for 8, NFT artist for 2, and just I've always been a creator. So I'm a New Yorker living in Atlanta, and I just photograph life, like life moments, and then with my poetry, it's more like emotions and feelings and just giving your voice a power to kind of tell what you feel and not being unapologetic about it. It's just like telling your experiences and photos and poetry and just all around being an artist.
Oh, I love that. Let's start with photography. 6 years ago, what made you pick up a camera for the first time?
Actually, I got into photography and poetry the same time. My parents were going through a divorce, and just I was a kid and just, didn't know how to deal with it. Just like I'm not seeing my dad all the time, which sucks. And I joined the track team. So I moved from New York to Georgia during my senior year of high school, which was like traumatic for me because I didn't go to prom because I was like,
Oh,
who are these people?
dang.
Um, I didn't go to prom and I joined the track team and just every day when I was leaving the track team, I would always take pictures of just the field, like how the different colors would look every time we leave the field. And I was always taking pictures of like my friends. They were like, "Get your phone out of my face! Stop taking pictures of me." Um, and then that's just kind of how I became a photographer. And then I picked up a book, just a notebook, and started writing wrote words, and those words turned into poetry. And now every time I talk to people about my art, word form or photography form, they're just like, "Yeah, I know CD. She's just really amazing with her words and her photographs. They make me feel something."
I love that. It sounds like from sort of the get go, you were very confident in your like sort of decision to be taking pictures and making poetry, which I think is a pretty significant departure from most artists. Talk to me about like the early days about, taking photos on your phone and then sort of, I guess, the growth from the art into, getting your first major camera and sort of what the process has sort of been like from those first couple of years as a photographer.
So I went to the Art Institute probably 2018 was when I started. Before that I was always just taking pictures on my phone because iPhone nowadays you could use it to, take
Oh yeah.
pictures.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I don't know. They're just as good, but then again, a camera feels like a camera. So you don't get over that feeling of just having a camera in your hand and you could, you know, use this shutter speed or this ISO or this,
Mm-hmm.
a phone doesn't have those tools.
Yeah.
Um, and just, I've always just, kind of just go outside and take a picture of something new. Like I see something interesting, like a tree, just the leaves falling, or a bird kind of, knocking on the tree, or a squirrel getting nuts, just like things around you trying to survive just like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or I go to, just a different place, a different city, and just, experience new things. Either going to a bar and just, talking to people in there, or catching a football game or a basketball game, or, just getting outside of your house sometimes and talking to people is just as well because you get to learn new things, see new things, and just if I need to be inspired, I go to an art gallery or I talk to friends or just getting outside of your head is a good thing as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. So it's like you're very much documenting everyday life. I
Yes.
consider myself, I do photography as a profession, but I'm more of like a street photographer, documentary type photographer, similar to you. And it's funny that you mentioned a squirrel because like last week I was in the city taking photos and I took literally the funniest, most awesome picture of a squirrel the other day. Like I don't know if I was in Madison Square Park or what park I was in, but the freaking squirrel was like staring at my soul. I'm going to send you the picture after we get off this podcast because it's just hysterical. But I've always found like a connection to documenting sort of the mundane aspects of my life. And I've only been doing photography full time for a couple of years now. But since I was sort of bit by the bug, to me, documenting the mundane, whether it's, going to the bagel store, whether it's getting a coffee, whether it's walking around town, whatever, has just become such a natural extension of the way I express myself. When you look at like the two things that you do primarily, photography and poetry, does either one jump out at you a little bit more than the other in terms of how you feel you're expressing yourself and your emotions?
That's such a hard question. I love both equally. They're just like my loves. I feel like they're my children because I don't have kids.
Hmm.
So they're like my little pieces of me that I put into the world, and people subject it because art is subjective and poetry is subjective and just experiences are subjective. So I don't know. I guess if I had to choose, I don't really know. That's a hard question. I think I'm just half and half. So 50% poetry, 50% photography. And yeah, that's
Okay.
just kind of how I would leave it.
Yeah, that's fair. Talk to me about sort of the second half of your journey. You mentioned off air that you're going back to school now.
Yes.
What is that sort of process been like in terms of unfolding and the desire to like learn more about your craft and grow as a photographer?
I think it's interesting because the school I'm going to is, SCAD, so Savannah. Well, I'm going to the Atlanta campus of art and design, and I don't know, I'm gonna be learning more. So in that school, I will actually be learning how to develop film, to actually have a business in photography, and then they also have like 600 recruiters that come every year. So for like New York Times,
Oh, cool.
Google, just like those are opportunities that, like, not to shame my old school, but I am shaming my old school. Didn't really give me those opportunities. When I was done, they were just like, all right, you're out in the wild. See ya.
Yeah. Good luck.
And this school just gives me more opportunities. I could be in like galleries. I could work for, collaborate with these companies. When I'm there on a mission. So
Hmm.
I'm there to, do all my classes, get, be on the president's list because, I'm good. I'm very smart.
Hmm.
And also just, to collaborate with these companies because I want to do good things. I want for CD, which is my brand, to, do well, and just I could be working with, Beyonce in the future. She wants a photo for her album, or Jay-Z, or whoever knows. I just, want my art to mean something and have a voice. And that's why I started CD.
Oh, I love that. When you look at like sort of creating a brand and then trying to pick out like what it represents and what parts of you it represents, how do you go about sort of building that idea out, right? So, Lex is a person, CD is the brand. How do you go about building out, the concept of what CD is and how it grows?
Good question. So you mean more like what kind of goes into the brand to what I want to present?
Yeah, like what photos does CD get to represent versus like if stuff you're just like taking for yourself. Like you mentioned working with like Beyonce or Jay Z and like music, right? But like,
Mhm.
is CD just simply encompassing all that is your photography work?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I gotcha.
Just I don't know. I've always so also why photography. My uncle Ed was a photographer.
Oh,
So when I was
cool.
little, he would always take pictures of like my birthdays and stuff. And back then, I was just a little ADHD kid causing havoc, pushing kids off swings type of kid. Um, but yeah, I always just was fascinated with moments because moments are so unforgettable. Like they're there and then you have that photo forever, and you can look at that picture and just say, I remember that day, I remember that moment, I remember that time.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I find myself shooting lot more film recently. There's something about making a memory on something that has to exist physically, right? I think I read somewhere a while ago that there's like a billion photos taken a day, right? Between like iPhones and Android devices, like a billion photos get taken every day. And then like when you think about like, when I die, my fucking cloud library is going to disappear, right? So like all everything that I represented from an artistic perspective that's on the internet, that's on social media and stuff, that stuff just like kind of will eventually disappear. And I got drawn to shooting film for that exact reason because like at least I leave like a physical example that I existed behind. I know you haven't jumped into film photography yet, and it's something that you're looking into.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
actually really excited. Just a lot of my friends shoot films. They're just like, I don't know, shooting film, just developing it, and taking the photo of it, and then you see the end result of it. Just makes you feel something different that you can't really explain to someone. They have to actually do it with their own hands to kind of see.
yeah. No, there's just some like nostalgia to it, and I don't know what it is. Like, you can replicate the exact same look and feel with a digital camera as you can with film, especially with how easy it is to edit images now. But there's just something tactile and there's soul in a film photo. I think that's what drives me to it. You mentioned friends that are photographers and stuff. I've been lucky enough to sort of build out a really wonderful community both in person and online, friends on Instagram and Twitter. And I like get constant inspiration from these people, just to create, right? Like, as a temperamental artist as I am, sometimes it's hard for me to be motivated and like want to go out and make pictures. But I've got lucky enough that I've got a nice community around me of people that are constantly inspiring me to go out and want to create. Who are some of your photography inspirations?
Just friends or just in general?
Just in general.
I think Annie Leibovitz is my most favorite photographer that I know.
Yeah.
Well, not know, but know of.
Hmm.
Um, I hope one day I get to like work with her. I probably will cry the first day. Just I will cry. She'll be like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "You don't know how much I'm in love with your work and just your beautiful brain." She's gonna be like, "What?" Like, yeah.
I've got her book on my coffee table, so definitely agree. There's something magical about the photographs that she's able to create, and it's like her creativity doesn't know bounds, right? It's like super. Man, am I jealous? Like she just is like has this innate ability to create pictures and tell stories with those pictures in a way that not many other photographers I admire can do. It's remarkable.
Definitely. She's one of my favorites. Ansel Adams,
Hmm.
Deanne Arbus,
Hmm.
just so many, so many. There's just so many.
Yeah,
Cindy Sherman.
yeah.
Okay, those are a few.
um, no, totally. Talk to me about sort of like your artistic approach to photography, especially like that documentary style of things. When you're like out and about and you've got your camera on you, what is it about a person, place, or thing that makes you stop to take a photograph?
Sometimes it's just very intriguing, kind of like my photo, The Artist.
Hmm.
So in that photo, there is this lady or man, you don't really know. Her back is turned, so I can't see her face. But I really just photographed that photo to focus on that art piece, that inspiration that she's kind of painting a sculpture, flying baby, or whatever she's sculpting in her studio, and just the unknown of not knowing. Like, what is she painting? Just the power and the everything we put in our art, which makes it so powerful. And just, I photograph different things that make people feel different things. Like on one side of the street, a kid could be getting ice cream with their mom, and then the other side of the street, there could be a guy with his hands in his head
Hmm.
just because he lost everything, just
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
And that's just kind of the things about life. It's just the unknown of not knowing, like, you just never know. You just never know. Like, life is a journey. It's
Hmm.
crazy. It's just a journey, and you gotta accept every part of your journey. And I've learned that just being 25 and everything I've experienced, I take it to not everything to heart. I learned to, not take everything personal, but also, I'm okay to feel things because I am human.
Yeah. Ooh, that's super important. You have such a long, such a ton of chapters left in your story. It's like an exciting prospect as someone who admires your work and you from the outside to know how young you are and just how much you have, to come. When I was going through your portfolio of work, I noticed a lot of it is black and white. Is there any sort of like walk me through your thought process when you're creating photographs and what sort of draws you to the black and white aspect versus say shooting in color?
Why black and white? So a lot of time I shoot black and white because I'm a 90s kid. Black and white just it makes you feel like you're kind of like my photo Staircase to Heaven. It makes you feel like the old New York, just the
Hmm.
old feeling, and just it makes it more simple. And a lot of times colors distract what the message you want to convey and show. Not saying I hate colors because I do have color photos as well,
Yeah.
but I don't know, just black and white photos make you feel different than color photos.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's funny. It's like a cheat code when you shoot digitally to be able to just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to turn this black and white and it's going to be like a 10 times better picture. And then when you shoot film, you have to like be super mindful about what you have in your camera. It's funny because I've very often made the mistake thinking I was shooting film and then ended up shooting black and white or vice versa. And it's just funny how different that thought process can go. I actually shoot on my camera in black and white, even though like, most of my commercial work is in color. But there's just, I think I'm able to see what image I'm trying to capture easier in black and white than I can in color. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like the
Just like
world
even
makes more sense in black and white. It's easier to like observe and document what's happening when it's like I can just see through the monotone black and white versus like getting confused by the by all the colors.
the colors. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the same way I think too sometimes.
Yeah.
So I
Um
don't know. Just sometimes it just depends on like the feeling. Like if I want it to be in color, I'll keep it in color.
yeah.
Or if I want it to be in black and white, I'll keep it in black and white. Or sometimes I keep one color and one black and white. It just depends on the
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, I've gotten into it. I've only been doing full time photography for like 2 years now, and I just have recently fallen into like a comfort in my editing style, to where like the color images that I create have like I built a preset for myself, right? So like the studio work that I do. I hack my editing process by using the presets that I've created. And I just think now, like 2 years in, I'm able to sort of figure out like what my visual voice is. And it's just like a really nice feeling, because I'd never felt it until like really in the last couple months, which has been a game changer for me from a confidence perspective.
Definitely.
Talk to me about your journey in NFTs. We met through Twitter and Twitter Spaces in the NFT community. How has your journey sort of evolved over the last 2 years, and are you enjoying yourself still in the NFT space?
I'm definitely enjoying myself. So I had another Twitter account at first,
Oh,
and it was called Lexverse. And I clicked on one link, my account got hacked,
oh
and I had to start
no,
over.
oh no.
And then, I made a new Twitter account, just named Camera Divine. And within that first week, I got 5 sales,
Oh,
and everyone
sick.
just loved the name. They were just like, your voice sounds familiar. Did you have another? I was like, yeah, Lexverse, but I don't know. Maybe the universe and Twitter didn't really like Lexverse, so I changed it to Camera Divine, and just everyone fell in love with, the name Camera Divine, and just I loved it too because it came to me in a dream, and just ever since then I just kind of love the name, just the emotion, the the passion and just the art that I put into it. And I don't know. The NFT journey has been a roller coaster. I've met a lot of friends. I've seen it all. I've seen, the apes, the just what are the other ones? I've seen it all. I can't remember all the names right now.
Yeah,
But
the
I've seen
punks.
all of it
Yeah.
when it comes to, yeah, the goblins. I've seen, FTX, which is like
Psh,
a bad name now. We don't
yeah.
talk about him.
Yeah.
Um,
What a fucking
and
piece of shit that
just
guy is.
I just seen it all. Just seen it all, know it all. Just not know it all, but
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of it.
I think there are some wonderful takeaways from the space that I've been able to have, and that is like the thing with crypto and NFTs is like it'll be mostly the friends that I made along the way. Like I've been able to develop such truly wonderful relationships with people over this shared love of photography and art. And then the space itself is just chaotic and a mess. So I'm just super thankful that it has been able to bring me, lifelong friends and creative inspirations. And, whatever money I've made very little and lost very lot is inconsequential compared to that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, friends are there for life
Yeah.
through the ups and the downs,
I
and
think that's what's nice about the space because it's not like there are a very small number of artists who are able to like make a living in the space, which is cool. But more so just to be able to develop those sort of connections and get people who can inspire you to create. That's been huge for me for sure. When you look at your own sort of artistic journey over the last 6 years, whether it's poetry or photography, do you like build out like a mood board, a career board, a goal board, like things that you have like pinned up on a vision board somewhere that are like goals and dreams that you have for yourself?
I do have like a notebook, so I write things down, just like things I want to do this week or this month, or if I want to travel to a new place,
Mm-hmm.
I write that down in my book. Or just like personal wise, like what are my personal goals I want for myself? Like, to go to the gym more and like lose this amount of weight, or see a family or friend like this week, or
Mm-hmm.
it's also good, like, yes, I know money needs to survive, but it's also good to mental health is something that I'm really big on as well, because without your health, without you, there would be no CDs, there would be no art, there will be no,
Yeah.
all these other things as well.
That's huge. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, and geez, I don't know where the fuck I would be if 2 years ago I didn't start going to therapy. I would be a disaster of a human being. But I love that. I think if you want to be able to be creative in any sort of context, you need to have that sort of clear mind, right? And like not be encumbered by stuff that's getting you down. But I couldn't possibly agree with you more.
No, and just, sometimes I get in my little creative spats where I just like don't want to create. And I feel like that's okay sometimes. It's okay to, kind of go live. Just like live a little bit too, because you only get one life and you have to live it to your fullest. And like I just, go see a friend or a new restaurant, and sometimes I get inspired just from eating food, and I decide, to take pictures of my food, and maybe those photos will turn into like a series or something. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. I'm always just,
Do you always carry a camera on you?
yeah, like probably 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
My friends are like, why do you have, we're at the club having fun. Why do you have your photo with you? Can't, like, just never know. What if I see, someone in the club and just want to take a photo of it, and you just never know.
I
I'm
like
like, all
that.
right.
I like that. What do you shoot with?
I shoot with a Canon RP.
Oh, nice, sweet. I shoot with Canon too. Um, although like the R mount system is just the heaviest fucking lenses on planet Earth, and I know they make like the Nifty 50 and the Nifty 35, whatever the $200-$300 ones that are like super small and light. But like, geez, some of these RF lenses are 1,000 fucking pounds. It's it's just crazy.
That's kind of why I got rid of my Canon 5D. Just the body itself was
Oh yeah.
heavy. I was like, no, that's it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you for that for sure. Talk to me about like your journey with poetry. I used to do a bunch of writing on the internet for like Elite Daily and Thought Catalog and all these places, and it was a really nice outlet for a while, and I got away from writing for so long. But talk to me about your own journey with poetry and like how you got started and sort of like what it brings you from like a mental perspective.
How I got started was my parents were going through a divorce, and I didn't have an outlet of just I was bottling things up, and that wasn't good and a whole human being aspect. And then when I started writing things down, it just gave me a feeling of like, yeah, I felt that emotion, I felt that feeling, and I wrote it down and I kind of just like dismissed it from my body. Like, yeah, that emotion, that feeling will always come back into my mind, but at this moment, like I'm kind of like burning it from my head, not forgetting about it, not dismissing it, but not holding it inside to kind of like blow up on people.
Ooh, I like that. So it's like kind of like a therapeutic outlook, like a place to
Yes,
put it without it like eating you up or destroying you internally. You get it out on paper, and then it sort of like releases you from those like internal torments.
exactly.
That's cool. I would imagine, I don't know what your circle of friends looks like, but I would imagine most 25-year-olds are not um, writing poetry. And I think that's just like a remarkably cool thing to do. Do you ever look at yourself from like an artistic perspective as a poet, as a photographer, and feel like you are in a completely different place in your life than like, say, your peers?
Not different. I feel like everyone has their own journey, but I'm trying to think of the words. I don't think different. I just feel like sometimes I feel things that maybe, maybe not everyone feels the same way, but then again, they could feel the same way. They just don't know how to express it.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I think to me, I'm constantly inspired by people who like sort of cut against the grain, right? Like you're not, slamming the 9 to 5, you're like chasing passions and artistry. And I think that's like super commendable and not common for people who are within your age bracket, which I find personally inspiring. I think that's fucking awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also just saving up for like off of NFTs. I got in touch with a publisher. They want to possibly publish like my poetry and
Oh,
photography. And yeah, I'm saving up for that because I really want that to happen. I go into Barnes and Noble and I could just see my books. Like that would be
fucking
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, it would just be so amazing. And I already have the title of just the photo book and the poetry book. They're both gonna be called What is Love and just
Will they be,
kind of like not
sorry.
letters, but poetry I wrote to myself and just photos of just people being in love. I feel like that's pretty interesting.
Oh, I love that. Would it be like two separate books or like one photo
Yes, two
poet
separate
book?
books.
Cool. That's cool. Wow, that would be sweet. I'm looking forward to you doing that. That's pretty cool. One of my favorite books is it's called Film for Her. It's
Wow.
from this artist. Jesus, I'm gonna butcher her name. I think her name's like Orion Carlotto or something like that. And she put a book of poetry together, interspersed with like film photos that she took. And it's just like her poetry is beautiful, of course. And then like she's just like, it's just so annoying. People are so much more talented and just like crush life in such in such an inspirational way. And yeah, it's a really great read if you can get your hands on a copy. I don't know if it's like on Amazon or anything, but I'll send you a picture of the book when we hop off.
Yes,
It's
please
amazing.
show it to me. Because if it looks good enough, maybe I'll think of maybe doing something like that. But I also wanted it to be separate just so you get the words and just the words, and then you get the photos and just the photos. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
two different things. if I do decide to put photos inside of my poetry book, it would just be like photos of me when I was going through these different things in my life.
Hmm. When you're
But yeah.
when you're putting a book of like poetry together and the possibility of publishing something like that comes together, um, is there like a certain number of poems and pages that you need to like put together for something like that to come together?
So they said 50. I sent 80
Pages or poems?
poems.
Oh shit. That sounds like a fuck ton of poems. I don't know much about
Um,
poetry. I have
I have
one poetry
over
book.
I have over like 2,000 plus poems.
Holy shit. That's insane.
Yeah, I've been writing before I did photography. So
Wow.
just I started at the same time, but I just have poems for like everything. And just when someone says, oh, can you write a poem for me? I'm like, okay, what's your name? Tell me a few facts about you, and I can write a poem within 3 to 5 minutes. That's
Holy
just kind of how
shit.
my mind. Yeah,
Wow. That's remarkable.
thank you.
I mean, I'm dumbfounded by that. That's truly remarkable. So, like, literally in 5 minutes, you can write a poem for somebody.
Hmm.
Wow. That's fucking cool. Do you have to, like, okay, so people aside, right? Like, not writing a specific poem about a person, do you need to be in a specific mood to write a specific type of poem? Like, in order to write like a love poem, whether it's like melancholy or happy, do you have to be feeling that in that moment, or can you draw upon past experiences and then sort of rekindle it for like a new poem?
Past experiences. I don't always have to be in a lovey feeling to feel love,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I can draw it for somewhere. Like just the guys I've dated in my past, I could draw that feeling of just being in love with the giddy feelings, the feelings where I just wanted to like smack you because why are you doing all these crazy things? But just all these type of things when it comes to love.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. I've found in my own personal experience that being able to like put emotion to paper, and I mean like actual physical paper, not necessarily like typing something, has been like pretty transformative for my like own mental health journey. You seem like an extremely well adjusted human being. Do you think that factors into it a lot?
Um, yeah, I believe so. Just I'm not saying I know a lot, but just I take every step in my journey as just like kind of being from my origin story. Just like I said before, I was an ADHD kid. I didn't talk till I was 4. I was, thought everything was mine when I have my cousins and friends over and they would be on my swing or my tire swing. And if I wanted to use it, like, got pushed off. You got, it was in my backyard. You're a guest here. Therefore, yeah, I'll be using that before you. And just growing up now, I noticed that, not everything is mine. I have to, share and be, thoughtful. And like, there's other people that have other feelings too. And even though in my head I feel like the world revolves around me, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's mature growth for sure.
yes,
I would imagine that would have made some very interesting house parties growing up as a kid.
definitely.
I also have ADHD. I'm super curious how your ADHD has impacted your ability to create. I mean, I'm a lot older than you. I'm 36, so like to me, it's like a very normal part of my day, and like coping mechanisms for dealing with it is like ingrained in me at this point in my life. But talk to me about your own sort of experience with it.
Um, let's just see. ADHD, I wouldn't give it to my worst enemy. Just there's moments when you have ADHD, you're just like, okay, cool. Um, Today I'm on mission. I'm going to go do this. And then there's days where you have ADHD and you're just like, no, I do not want to deal with the outside world.
Yeah.
Um, Today I'm going to stay in and decide is this instead of, doing work, I'm going to watch a Netflix show because that's just the mood that I'm feeling today.
Hmm.
Um, and just, it's moments, but it's like, I wouldn't trade my ADHD brain because it makes me think and feel things and create things that, not everyone will go out of their comfort zone to create these things.
Hmm.
So I take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Just I take the good with the bad, just like I take life with the good and the bad, because there's moments in my life that are just the most painful moments. And instead of crying about it, I will laugh about it. And, instead of yelling at the world, I will write a poem about it. And then, instead of keeping that poem, I will burn it or destroy it or just to get that feeling out of my brain. And I don't have in that moment someone to talk to about it. And at least I have my book to kind of create something and move on and past that emotion and feeling and just, yeah, create.
That is a level of like mental clarity that I did not share at 25 for sure. I don't know if each preceding generation just gets like better at adapting to life than the one before it. I don't know. We're probably, are you a millennial or you're the one behind me?
I guess I'm a
Oh,
millennial,
you are? Okay.
1997, I
Okay. I
guess.
don't know what the cutoff is. I just assume we're like two different generations. But like, dude, when I was 25, I did not have that level of introspection at all. I was very much uh, sort of shying away from anything that was any sort of emotional anything, right? Whether it was avoiding
Mhm.
relationships that were bad for me, whether it was whatever, I just was like avoid at all costs. But at you at 25 have been able to be like extremely pragmatic about sort of how you view things and how life impacts you. And I think, man, is that an exciting thing to look at as like an outside person and your friend, like to be able to see like what you have in store for yourself just over the next 10-year period of your life is going to be fucking amazing.
No, I'm really excited about just my journey. And just, life is all about experience. And I always just tell people, they're like, if you can go back in time, what would you do differently? And I said, I would actually not listen to everyone and finish school to my BFA and be working for, the New York Times, either just traveling, be a journalist photographer or, just a traveling photographer in a sense, just, planning a trip, just going on a trip. And yeah, you may be by yourself, but you can go with a group and just seeing things, experiencing things. And when you come back, you kind of look at yourself and just, wow, look how far I've grown. And just as a person, as in my craft, as a human, and just being able to experience things because when you're gone and you won't be able to do the things that you only dreamed about.
Hmm. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. Wow.
30,
Five.
30, 30.
Yeah, I will be 30 years old, which is crazy. 5 years from now, I see myself one in my dream house or apartment, um, working for a company that I love, meeting with actually coworkers that I love, dating a guy. Um, let's see, traveling more because I haven't really traveled a lot because of COVID.
Yeah, same.
Let's see, and just going to places and seeing new things, more concerts, and just getting out of my head.
Hmm.
That's where I see myself.
Do you have like a dream job? You've mentioned the New York Times a couple times,
Yes,
and so is working for them sort of like your dream?
yeah, New York Times, Condé Cast, Essence. Those are like the three on the top of my list. Nike, Adidas, like just collaborating with them would be cool.
Hmm. Are you doing anything like currently to sort of chase those dreams down?
Um, Not currently, but like I said, I'm going back to school, so that will put me on their radar.
Hmm.
So just that school, it's a lot of money, but
Yeah.
it's worth it because in the end, like even my own mom has, a lot of student loans, but she still does what she does and she loves it. So in the end, you gotta chase your dreams because you don't want to wake up one day and just say, "Wow, I didn't do
Yeah.
anything."
I think that's a crucially important life lesson. I have for the last couple of years been chasing the fuck out of every dream that pops into my head. I think it's like, you know, as you get older, you realize most of life is how things get taken from you, right? Like as you get older, it's like, you know, you lose people, you lose jobs, you lose friends. Like that's like the unfortunate byproduct of getting older. But it also provides like a pretty significant amount of like clarity into who you are and what's important. And like to me, it's been able to reshape the entire aspect of my life and my career. And for something like that, I'll forever be thankful and grateful for. I think if you go about life not chasing dreams, not chasing passions, not taking risks, that's not really any way to live a life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Life is all about risk. Just like this book I want to put out. I want it out, but I have to have the money to put it out. So I'm putting, stuff away to be able to have my dream book to be in a Barnes and Noble. So,
Yeah. I mean,
um,
I'm excited to get my 2 copies of Cameron Devine photography and poetry. I think that's fucking awesome. I don't have any like goal like that to like create a you know, like a book of any kind, and I think it's just cool when someone has that like clarity in terms of something that they want to create. That's cool.
no, I don't know. I just always, as a little girl, as a little girl, I was in like an art class, and one time we had to take this art class, and we went to a museum in New York City, and I saw this lady. She just had this big afro. She was wearing like this really pretty dress, and just she walked down the middle of the street like she owned the place. Just like had that confidence, that love, and just didn't care what anyone said or did to her.
Hmm.
And ever since then, I just imagined myself kind of like that too. I kind of grew into that person of just, yeah, people will say what they want about you, but you have to think about what you say and feel about yourself as well, and not really caring what other people say, because people will say things to kind of get you distracted, but you got to keep on that path.
Absolutely. I think I get asked the question a lot, like, how are you so happy all the time? And I was like, I didn't used to always be this way. I didn't, I just, you know, like I had a really shitty day yesterday. It was like a really crappy Monday. Just like everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I sent a tweet out later in the evening. I was like, is it weird that I had a shit day, but I'm still like super thankful, right? Like I'm healthy. My family's healthy. My friends are healthy. You know, I've got a place to live. I've got food in my belly. Like I don't have real problems kind of thing. And I think that you can go about life in a lot of different ways. But if your happiness is at the forefront of your mind, it's really hard not to be content and like appreciate the things that you have.
Right? You got to appreciate where you come from, and then you're able, God or whoever you believe in is able to take you to the next level.
Oh, for sure. For sure. How do you deal with like confidence issues? Because like I can imagine like, you know, as a person who used to write on the internet, like I was always constantly, I don't know if fearful is the word, but like felt judgmental or judged by like the things that I would write. And it like felt like a very vulnerable place to be. Like what gives you confidence to write 2,000 fucking poems?
I don't care what people think. That's my confidence.
But like
Um,
you're so young to have that like clarity is I feel like relatively uncommon.
well, let's just say, my dad is a lot older than me, and we just have these talks, and um, it took me a long time to have that like love and stuff for my dad again. Not saying it was gone,
Hmm.
um, but just when my parents were going through a divorce, I just felt as though he didn't love me because he's just all the way in New York and I'm all the way in Georgia, and just like, why would you do that to a kid? Like, why are you not here? I didn't really understand, and just the things I go through kind of make me confident. I have to be confident and strong, and keep pushing forward, because I have a lot I want to accomplish before I'm not here anymore, and just the things I want to see, the things I want to do, and to go to these places and experience new things.
Yeah. You know, I'm constantly amazed by people of your age group that are able to have that mentality. And I think it's an exciting thing as someone who, is a big proponent of who you are as a person, and someone who like is incredibly inspired by your work. To see what you're going to be able to accomplish over the next couple of years of your life and your career. It's like there are fucking no limits to what you're going to be able to accomplish. And it's like, just as someone who's cursorily enjoying the journey, I think that's awesome. Lex, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Like, this is just such a fucking awesome conversation, and we definitely have to do it again. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on and being a guest.
I have a question. Is there any way I could read a poem before we go?
Absolutely, please.
Okay. Let me read my poem that I always read. It's about my grandma, and it's part of my NFT called Flowers. And just like the lady on the train reminded me of my grandmother and just everything about it. But yeah, this poem is called Scared of Love. I'm scared of love. I know I shouldn't be because love is a good thing. Love can be complicated and maybe even overwhelming. Sometimes I get lost in my feelings and lose thought of who I am. Relationships can sometimes be destructive. People aren't always right and don't do the right things when it comes to love. Sometimes when I think of love, I get jitty and happiness spreads all the way to my toes. I don't want to think about love as it has hurt me so many times I can't help it. Maybe being alone for a while is okay as well, until the one you know in your heart finds you. Sometimes I feel like I have to find love when I know it should be the other way around. I'm scared of feeling and getting hurt all the time. Sometimes I just want to give up and not love anyone else but myself. Poem.
Wow, that was beautiful. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading that. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so appreciative of you and your work. And yeah, thank you so much for being a guest today, Lex. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for having me as a fellow Northerner. We gotta stick together.
Fuck yeah.